Brighter days is on the other side of pain. Can't be the same if you wanna see some change. Iced out chains got you acting kinda strange. Mine got corroded by the fortune and the fame.
Hey, what's up? This is Jonesy Girl, Lynette Jones, and you're watching and listening to my podcast, Everyday People. Everyday People is a show about people, experiences from the rich to the poor to the middle class. It doesn't matter. I think people are our biggest assets, And without people, where would we be? So I think people are worth it too. So our first guest here is Mr. Shawn Dennis, and he's definitely worth it. He's a homeboy. He's from Los Angeles, California, so he has a place in my heart. So hey, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. You could have been anywhere else,
I chose to be here in the rain.
Yeah, in the rain. Hey, so look, tell our listeners a little bit about you. Who is Shawn Dennis?
So I'm originally from Los Angeles. Hearts and minds go out to them. What they got going on with the fires.
Yes.
I'm married, 8 kids, 1 grandchild, who I love dearly, and just loving life. I'm an Army officer. That's where I met Miss Jones here. So that's me.
All right, well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. So this show is about everyday people, and we're going to talk today about surviving South Central Los Angeles. And like he said, our hearts and prayers are definitely go out to the people who lost their homes, people who are misplaced, the people who were evacuated. Definitely praying for y'all. So look, let's talk about South Central Los Angeles. So I live there too, and I just want to talk a little bit about, the topic is surviving South Central Los Angeles. So tell us, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a nice little neighborhood called the Baldwin Hill Village. Affectionately known as the Jungles.
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah. So movies like Training Day, Boys in the Hood, all those. That's my neighborhood.
Oh wow. So growing up in that neighborhood, tell us, what was it like? I mean, home life, mommy, daddy at home, brother, sister. How was home life?
So I grew up kind of a extended family, raised by my grandmother. She was raising her kids at the time. Even though they were grown, they were still in and out of the house.
Gotcha.
I had 1 sibling. My mother wasn't really able to take care of us, so my grandmother stood up and did that job. But she was constantly, present in my life.
Yeah, you say that, and like I say, we got a lot in common because my mom wasn't around to do that job either. So my aunt, Jewel, she actually raised us, and she had 13 other children. And it was a pretty crowded household. I tell you this, I was never alone.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, never alone because it was so many. And that's always the dynamics of the family. Sometimes the grandmother, aunt, somebody always has to pick up the slack. So what type of influence did your grandmother have on you?
My grandmother was a praying woman, rest her soul. Really, we would go to school. She would pray for us before we went to school. I'm sure my friends enjoyed that. But yeah, it just kind of raised me in the church, vacation Bible school every summer, that whole thing. So it was a real good impact because it laid a foundation for my spirituality.
Right. Yeah, that's the same thing. I told you got a lot in common. My aunt raised us in the church, to the point where we're not, I didn't rob anybody, I didn't become a gangster or anything.
Right.
Anything of those negative occupations out there that we probably shouldn't have that don't really have benefits,
Yeah.
So growing up with your grandmother, what did your grandmother instill in you? I mean, and your father, I guess he wasn't around.
No, I met him once. I did meet him once. He stopped by the house for Thanksgiving around, I was about 10 years old. He came by and was like, hey, your grandmother here? Because Black grandmothers never move. They don't change their phone number. So he knew just how to find her.
Yeah.
And probably not good for security, right?
Yeah. That's
same place, same phone
number.
Look,
that's what we think about, but you're right, because my aunt, believe it or not, she lives in the same place, the same house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would never not be able to find where I grew up and go there and, knock on the door. So, yeah, you're right about that. They do believe in longevity.
Yeah.
So, okay, so your dad, so what was that like, meeting your dad? Did you know he was your dad?
No. When he came by and asked for my grandmother, I thought he was just a random person. And I said, well, who's asking? And, kind of tell her who's asking type thing. And he was like, your dad. And I was like, interesting.
So So I'm curious. That moment, he didn't say, "Son, hi, Dad, give me Daddy a hug." Nothing.
Nothing. Zero.
Wow.
Zero. I had a picture of him for years, and then somehow I lost it. It was just a single picture on that one day, and that's my only recollection of my father.
Oh wow, man, that's something. So you haven't seen him since, even now as an adult?
No.
Wow.
I've been going on to the apps, to find my ancestors and be like, where is he?
So do you, you don't really hold nothing against your dad, do you?
No, so growing up, I mean, none of us had dads, so it really wasn't a big deal. I didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary. I didn't know that it wasn't kind of how things were designed to be. Because I did have a TV, and I saw dads on TV, and there were like people like
don't you dare say the Cosby Show. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Shane.
Hey.
I should have said that, but no, I'm just saying. No, but really, what dads would you say?
What's the dad from Family Matters, right?
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
can't think of his name. Yeah,
Winslow.
Winslow. Yeah, Winslow.
What's Will's uncle's name?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So
Okay.
there was like, in the shows, there were
Right, you seen examples.
I saw examples,
Yeah, of dads, but didn't have one at home. And
Sanford and Son.
Yeah, him and Lamont, they was kind of close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But so not having a dad. So how was school life? Did you have any mentors or any teachers that really poured into you?
Yeah. In elementary, not so much. Elementary, so I won't say not so much, because there were teachers who tried to pour into me. They were not black, so some of the the white teachers, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was guilt or they just saw potential in me. They were like, "Hey, I think you should go to this magnet school, and I think you should do X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, "That's great."
Yeah, so
if I could get there.
So I could be your counselor for you when you were that age. So, just because they were white teachers, they were really like hoping you would, do well, because they probably really wanted you to do well. And they, poured into you because they saw potential. What I see is most of the time educators, they are always the ones to really, you have to be a special person to be an educator.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't teach anybody's kids because I probably would beat them and I probably would be in jail. I'll be that teacher that the parents will want to come fight. You know what I mean? They'll catch me in the parking lot off guard, So so I thank God for those teachers and educators, because they are, they're the ones that have a lot of influence with our children every day.
Well, they had a big influence on me because eventually I became a teacher. So it worked out.
Okay, you start teaching
and you're right, I quit because I was like, you know what? These kids are going to get me locked up. So
they're going to get you locked up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't even like to listen now.
Well, their frontal lobe is developing, right? They don't know what's better.
Yeah. So could you think of any teacher, educator at that time that really stood out to you and just really made a difference in your life as an adult?
So the one person for sure that stands out is Mr. Russell. In junior high, I went to Audubon Middle School right there in South Central. And man, he was just kind of like a fly guy. He was tall, had the fade. I wanted to be tall. I was in middle school. I was like, I'd like to be like him.
You wanted to be like Mr. Russell.
I want to be tall. I want to have waves. And he drove a nice. He drove a nice Acura back then in the '90s. The Acura. And he used to take us places. Like he would take us, to the golf course, do like junior PGA type thing. So I thought, he would expose us to different things that were outside of our community, and that really opened my eyes.
Right. Did he seem, in your mind, like a father figure, or?
I don't know that I made that connection.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There were a lot of men, especially in the church, that, they were men and they were an influence, but I had detached myself from the concept of having a father.
Gotcha.
So I was like, it's something I don't need. God is my father.
So basically, you didn't have any emotional hang-ups like, "Oh, my dad wasn't there for me." I'm not making fun of anybody who said that, but I'm saying that sometimes people really in their adult life, because a lot of things that affect you in your adult life usually come from your childhood.
So you asking if I have daddy issues?
Do you have daddy issues?
No, I don't have daddy issues.
You can't call me daddy because I'm.
I don't have mommy issues either. I just, I didn't take those things personally. I understood, I guess, in some sort of way that circumstances prevented him from being there, whatever they were.
Yeah.
He had his own life, and I couldn't dwell on his absence.
Yeah, I'm breaking here. for a second because I just thought about something. They said that Jay-Z had a son. Did you hear about that? And the kid was like, "Look, I just want to know if he's my dad." And he's not going to give the kid a paternity test. Paternity, I hope I said that right. A paternity test. And basically, he just wanted to know because his mother told him, "Hey, Jay-Z, your dad." And then they had a picture of them side by side. I mean, I don't know. You could say people look like each other, but they don't. I'm not really sure. So anyway, that just popped in my head. But anyway, going back, so you don't have daddy issues and you don't blame your dad for anything. So moving on, you have Mr. Russell. He was a mentor or maybe a figure for you that somebody who can, like, you know, just kind of like you said, he took you places, he did things. So in your community, so you had home, grandma was at home, Mr. Russell was at school. Yeah. So what about your street life, your community life with your friends?
You know what? I don't really, I'm gonna say I don't, right? So our street life, we say street life, I wouldn't use the word street life. So just kind of like.
So you weren't like a thug or anything? Okay.
Yeah, I don't really subscribe to that.
Okay, let me change that.
I don't fit the mold of a thug. I was trying to, I guess there were thugs around. Yeah. But like my friend group.
Your friend, your close circle, your friends.
Yeah, my close circle of guys. I mean, we were tough guys, but we wasn't, thugs per se. Yeah. You would look at us and think that, but no.
Oh, so how was that little circle of friends you had?
Man, it was great. I mean, we all had, now you can look and say, okay, that's obviously trauma bonding. But I mean, we're going through the same circumstances, right? We're growing up in poverty. There's danger all around us constantly, right? From the opposing gang members and drive-bys and things like that. So, I mean, I guess we trauma bonded, right? You grow up when you're in those circumstances, with this morbid sense of humor. Yeah. And that's your norm, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I have watched the movie The Color Purple so many times and people, just saying some of my friends watch it, but the white ones, not the black ones, because you said we trauma back. Right. And we would say, all my life I had to fight. And they watching the movie and they over there crying.
It's a drama for them.
And you sitting over there like,
right.
Because we've seen it and we know it, and it's not like we laughing at pain, but it's something that it's like a coping skill, I think.
It is a coping skill, and I think that's one of the biggest things I take away from that time in my life is, growing up in adversity like that, you learn to cope. Now, whether or not it's healthy or not, you can get therapy later. It helps you survive.
Yeah, it helps you survive because it helps you not to dwell on things that you can't change.
Yeah, you really learn very quickly. Don't worry about things you can't affect.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, that's good stuff. I love that. So, you had your friends. You guys pretty much were going through the same thing. So, where did the military come from? How did that play into your life? Because we know, well, we don't know, but you are a major in the Army. Yep. And we talk. Let me circle back though, because to join the Army, you have to, school life and educate your grades. How was that for you?
Well, I wasn't the best student. I was courteous, but I was a class clown. Teachers probably enjoyed me being there because of my personality, but they didn't love the time that it took to manage my ADHD. Right. I can identify it now, but I wasn't diagnosed then. I just had a lot of energy, wanted to tell jokes. Some of the information was foreign to me. I didn't have anybody else at home to be like, hey, help me with your homework. Gotcha. So if I didn't understand something, I would, my thing was to play around. Yeah, and and it's so funny because we find out that later in life. Yeah, that's what most people do now. Oh yeah, I mean I was just playing around, but when you're dealing with it, and it's sometimes sad the adults around you, they could think you're retarded. I've seen people get put in classes that they probably shouldn't have been in because they thought, they're dumb, but it's not that. They just maybe their attention. Or Maybe they had to be taught in a certain way, and it necessarily didn't mean they have to be in special ed. Yeah, they try to label you, and when I say they, I mean in administration, people who don't understand the culture or maybe the home life, and so they're quick to label. Yeah. Quick to put you in a special program that would possibly hinder your educational progress. Yeah. I'm glad that didn't happen. I guess it was so prevalent that they couldn't diagnose me because everybody was like that. So many of us was like, all these crazy black kids in this class. That's just normal. That's just par for the course. But, eventually, as I got through middle school and high school, things picked up a little bit. I'm not saying I was a 4.0 student, but I did have a 1.0 every year. So there's that. That's 4 years, 1.0. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, because I was getting ready to get on my series, and I said, that's nothing to brag about, but okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Eventually you got your 4.0.
So through hard work and determination, summer school, night school,
Gotcha.
day school, I graduated high school.
Okay, hey, look, you made it out. No matter how you made it out, you made it out. Wow. So now, you're a young adult, or almost a young adult, 17, 18, going into that rim of life. So how did the military, how long did it take you? Did you join right away, or how'd that go?
Yeah. So I graduated high school. There I was. Some things had happened. I had a friend die my senior year. I had been, I'm not going to say arrested, right? I had been stopped on a curfew violation. I had been detained.
Oh, okay.
I was traveling while black in a white neighborhood, and it was after 10 p.m. And I didn't know in certain areas you couldn't be out past 10 p.m. So this was my first, and most kids don't even know that.
That's true. It's a curfew, yeah.
So I'm out thinking I'm celebrating my graduation, and then they're like, "Hey, you can't be here, and we take you to jail." I'm like, "You call my grandmother, and she here. Come get me. I'm hours away from the house, but I need her to come pick me up." So that was kind of a pivotal moment. I'm like, man, it's too easy to get caught up in traps and become like the people I had been around.
Right.
And I knew I didn't want that life. I didn't know the life I wanted, but I was like, I just don't want that. So thought back to my senior year and all the encounters I'd had with like college recruiters and military recruiters. So I was like, well, let me try the community college. They say it's free. Money was an issue. So now it's not, because I can go there for free. So I just went to the local community college. And as I began to, get confident in my skills and abilities, eventually 2 years later, it was time to go to a university. And I'm like, well, how am I going to pay for it? Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that back then, an Army recruiter left a message on my answer machine. So back then, we had the phones. A lot of your viewers may not know this. We had the landline with a little machine that had a little tape in it.
Answer machine.
It's an answer machine.
We've graduated to voicemail. Yeah.
Now it's voicemail.
Yeah.
So, he left a voicemail for me. And I was like, cool. I left within 2 weeks.
Yeah. So backing up a little bit prior to that, did you ever have problems? Because we know we're from South Central Los Angeles. They have the Bloods and the Crips.
Right.
Did you ever have any problems, or was forced to maybe possibly join a gang?
Snitches get stitches. So, we can't talk about that. No, it's just...
We can't talk about somebody asking you to join a gang.
No. You know what? I had never... I didn't know the process, right? Initially, I didn't know the process. I thought I was a blood, right? I was like, I'm growing up in the neighborhood, But at that point where it was like, hey, time to get put on, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna do that. I'm probably gonna hold off to the last minute. Yeah. If I decide to join, I'll hit you later.
It's always an initiation somewhere, right?
How long does this offer stand? But I had some pressure because your friends are joining gangs and everything, and that's what's around you. That's just what you're associated with, affiliated, or whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of like the home team. But in terms of becoming an actual member, once it got to that point, and I had witnessed some friends be killed, and the consequences of those actions, and where that road led to.
Yeah, so the friend who was killed, was he a gang member?
Again, I'm just saying that environment led to I had two paths that if I chose that, dead or in jail, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to go down that path.
Yeah, okay, that's good stuff. That's fair. Apparently you didn't go down that path because now you're a major in the United States Army. So tell us, how's that going? How has it been your military journey? Because you come from a certain, when you go to the military, you go to basic training, you always run into people who are so much different than you. How was that experience?
I loved it, right? So my outlook on life, coming from the jungles, being born premature to, at the time, a drug addict, and being told, by family, my grandmother primarily, doctor said you weren't even gonna make it. You were preemie and all this stuff, to growing up being a healthy man, now college educated. meeting people from around the world was a thing. Like being in the military, I'm basic training, you're feeding me 3 times a day, I'm working out, I'm hanging out with the guys. I had the time of my life.
Right. So it was something that you could appreciate.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh wow, that's good stuff. So, how far do you expect to go in your military career? It's like, what are your ambitions for the military?
I think I've always had this notion of excellence, like trying to achieve the highest level, right? So, if they give me a star and make me a general, that would be great, and hopefully they're listening. But if not, they say shoot for the stars. But if not, at least I'll wind up with wings and become a colonel. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you have such a great attitude about life and people and different things. So let me ask you this, because I'm in the military, and I want to ask you, what are some of your biggest challenges? I can say for me, it's people, because some people are, oh my God, they just get on your nerves. I mean, you're like, really, who made you? So you got to be like careful, because God made us all, right? But the thing is that, what were some of your biggest challenges in your military career today?
I think, right, so people, right? When we say people, we mean their perspectives and some of the cultural background, some of the baggage that they bring to the job. The job isn't necessarily hard. They're going to train you on everything you need to know. You follow the script. You tend to wind up with the right results as long as the plan was solid. But I think the people who are implementing policies and things of that nature, unfortunately, they're not perfect. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I've come across people, especially when there aren't a lot of us who look like us in the space, there's a lot of friction and a lot of conflict, miscommunications, a lot of assumptions that are made about your capability or your worthiness to be there. And I've had to fight through that, right? Be the token. I've had to fight through, one, my own feelings of insecurity and saying I don't deserve to be here, to be at the table. And then two, that whole imposter syndrome. But two, just flat out racism. So I've had to struggle through that. Thankfully, I'm resilient enough to understand, okay, this is just somebody with a small mind. God can open doors, nobody can close. And he can close doors, nobody can open. So I've just always put my best foot forward. I've trusted in the process and in myself. And that's led me to where I am today.
Wow. Yeah, I think in any situation in our lives that people are our biggest menaces sometimes. And now you got people who can be your best friend, people, so for me, I've always tried to gravitate to people who can help me and along with my military career, whether it's getting me a job somewhere else. And I must say, I think we all at some point maybe experience a little racism or something, but I'm gonna tell you something. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles, I didn't know what racism was.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It's like, wow. I was like, okay, it's like, wow. I really? Like what? Not even until I came to the South did I realize that, oh, I'm a black person and they have something against black folks.
I feel the same way. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's just, it's not pervasive like that. And I think everybody is so homogenized with this West Coast flavor. Like it's a big salad bowl. But I have met people who just had not been exposed to us.
That's right.
Say, well, how does your hair curl like that? Or how does your hair do this thing?
Yeah.
Or,
realizing it's DNA and it's cultural, it's a different culture. We weren't all made the same. So we different. So that's just like you said, you have a good attitude about that. It's sometimes people just don't know you, but it's education is something,
That's the biggest thing, education, guidance, and exposure is key.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to know, how are you giving back? I mean, you joined the military. You had a praying grandmother. You had a dope teacher at school, Mr. Rose. And you had some okay friends, that you just didn't follow. But in all of this, what I like is your tenacity, and I love your attitude. You have a great attitude about a lot of things. So how are you giving back to your community?
So primarily through a corporation called Giving Back Corporation. Well, it's a nonprofit. For the great kids in the greater Los Angeles area, just kind of disadvantaged youth who are matriculating into college. And so it provides scholarships to these kids. It also gives them an opportunity through the arts to display their talents and be able to get access to people in the industry so that they can potentially pursue those careers as well.
Wow, and now is that a corporation that you're a part of? Did you start it, or how does it work?
No, a gentleman by the name of Ken Sago started that, and I've been fortunate enough to be in his life. Very good friend of mine. I consider him a father figure. And yeah, it's been going on. I've been part of it for the last 25 years.
Oh, wow, nice. That's good stuff. It's always good to give back in some way because, we made it to a certain extent. Just because you're making it don't mean you're going to keep making it, but I always believe it's about the grace of God that we making it out here.
Amen.
Yeah, so what would you say to your younger self?
Shut up and listen. There's people who are around you who they have your best interest in mind. They may be older, you may not be able to relate to them, but those men in the church, those teachers, even police officers, yes, I said it, the police, they have something good to say because they've been where you're going, or they can see something in you and know the potential that you have. So just listen, even if you don't take it to heart right away, at least take it in. Don't dismiss. Don't be so quick to dismiss, what your elders say.
Yeah, I mean, we can learn from everybody, and it's so sad that, you mentioned the police. They're not all bad.
No, they're not.
You got some good police officers who really made a difference in people's lives, but it's sad we don't hear about that. We just hear about the other bad stuff.
Of course, that's the media.
Yeah, so what's next for you? Where are you going?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to continue to write books, continue my education to obtain a terminal degree, a PhD, and then just continue my military career and provide for my family.
Yeah.
Give them exposure that I didn't have, take them out of the country and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's good stuff. It's always good to be exposed to things too. And like I said, I'm proud of you. I am. I really am. And I love your attitude, and I love just how you approach things and stuff. And your kids, if they're listening to this podcast, you gave advice to everybody else. You help the community. What would you say to your kids, or what do you say to your kids?
Well, what I don't say enough is I love you. I'm extremely proud of you, and I'm proud to be your father. Everything I do, really, 90% of what I do is for y'all. I save 10% for me, and that's intentional, so I can keep my health and my sanity. But just take advantage of the resources, and you'll be fine. Keep putting your best foot forward. Trust the process. It's not gonna be immediate, but we got you.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thank you so much. That was Shawn Dennis, and wow, you just keep pouring into people and keep climbing up the ladder. I'm sure you're gonna get there. So this is on our show, Everyday People, and surviving South Central. I can really relate to that because I grew up there as well. So thanks, Shawn, for everything that you contribute to the show today.
Hey, thank you. I just got to give a shout out to Ice Cube. He told me how to survive. Give myself a gun, so I joined the Army.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks, Ice Cube. Thanks, Ice. All right. This is your host, Jonesy Girl, Lynette Jones, and we thank you for tuning in to Everyday People. We'll see you next time.
Brighter days is on the other side of pain. Can't be the same if you wanna see some change. Iced out chains got you acting kinda strange. Mine got corroded by the fortune and the fame.